Maul Mondays are back with 2 more episodes of Maul Shadow Lord, and I've got to say, these have been some of my favourite episodes yet. Not only are they visually some of the most stunning ever, but they introduce themes that honestly I've been craving for years. Ever since the resurrection of Maul from the depths of Naboo, we have been waiting for this character right here to shine, and I am so unbelievably excited to talk to you guys about this one. Look, I want to start off with 2 big things. The 2 of the main things that I want to talk about today are the visuals and the fighting, and we've got a little bit of special mentions later on. But I want to start off visually. Look, this show has obviously shown that we have gotten extra levels of animation. Every single time they do animation at Lucasfilm, it just builds up and up and up and up, and it just gets better and better every single year. But this one specifically, God, these coarse paint strokes where it's just like you can feel like everything on there is hand carved in anger. Like you've just got this massive horsehair brush. I don't know why it's horsehair, it has to be horsehair, but it's like this massive horsehair brush that you've got this flame burning at the end of the paintbrush, just absolutely cooking with these strokes. Just some of the most beautiful and I think character-specific visuals that we've ever had. Look, obviously we know that Maul is leaning towards the samurai, Japanese-esque, and I think Star Wars Celebration Japan really helped this character. Some of the extra stuff that we got to see with, different versions of Maul based on old school paintings from Japan, all that kind of stuff, have really heavily influenced the style that we're getting now. Look, what I really like, not just about, visually what we're seeing with the paint strokes, but also the way they're actually creating focus on the scene. Not only are we seeing these amazing, incredible landmarks, I mean, like, come on. These landmarks are genuinely some of the most beautiful cinematics that we've seen ever. It's so starkly contrasted and cinematic and gorgeous. Like, we know when we're going to see Maul because it's this deep, dark abyss, this depths of this country that they're in. I actually don't even know the country that they're in, but like they're in this depths of this world, and then separated from that, you get to the lightness of the top where it's just this gorgeous kind of like beautiful, light-stricken, amazing thing that has all these little elements of darkness showing that, hey, it's not always as perfect as what it seems, but it's beautiful. It's really beautiful. And one thing that I really did want to touch on is the way that they do the focus in this scene. It's not necessarily about, who they're focusing on with the character specifics, but it's how they do the background. If you look again, now go back towards the episodes and rewatch it, you'll see it in every single scene. Well, the way they do the blurring at the background is you see the paint strokes. Like, it's just this gorgeous soul that they're adding to this show that I don't think we're ever going to be seeing again. Even down to some of these characters. I mean, like, look, I'll talk about the fighting later, but thematically I want to talk about just how important it is to show the darkness of some of the characters, to really show the evil. You know what I mean? Like the evil is the most important part of this, especially in a show where we're really contrasted between who we think is right and wrong. Maul is obviously someone that everyone's going, all right, we know he's not the best, but he's kind of doing the best with this situation. Like, he's taking on the underground, he's fighting the Empire. We know that the Empire is the greatest evil out of all of them. Palpatine, everything that he's done. Maul is just kind of making his way through the galaxy, a little bit like Jango Fett. But he's really not that bad compared to someone like Marok. Now, Marok used the same thing as what they did in the previous episodes with darkness, and I loved it. When the captain was being called into interrogation, they pulled him into this really dark, mysterious, kind of like classic interrogation room with the 2-way sided glass, all that kind of stuff. I guess the 1-way sided glass. Whatever it is, and you see on the table you've got these claw marks, these scratch marks, like you just can't. You imagine what the chief, the warden girl, would have been like. Help me out of here! No, Marok is so scary. You've got to be persuasive to try to get out of there. And what I really, really enjoyed about it is that they really show how Marok is meant to be terrifying. We saw him release a fart when he died, and it was just this green plume of fartness, stankatron. Every single time when we see Marok, he's not really being that intelligent. He's kind of being a little bit of a bruiser, you know what I mean? Like someone who just you chuck into the fight so that they can have a little bit extra weight on their side. But this one feels different. This one feels calculated. You know, like we're seeing Marok visually as this completely different character that we've ever seen him before. And having him arrive out of the darkness in this beautiful suit of armor was just so perfect. Perfect. Everything about it. I mean, like, look, he's not going to be a Vader. He's not going to be a Maul. And you can see the levels of that kind of stuff even towards the end of the 6th episode when you're seeing Maul being like, hey, I'm here, Maul. You know what I mean? Like, we'll get into that. But, like, you get to see this character that is genuinely someone that I'm interested in now. I was never really interested in him before. You know, and I think to have something like that, to have the depth of these characters, it's really proven in this show to be as important as it is actually having the quality of animation, which I think they've lacked with something. Even I'd argue with the Bad Batch. Animation was there, but the quality really lacked towards the end. But look, the last thing visually, I did want to talk about something. You know that the characters are incredible. You know, Maul specifically is a character that everybody likes. Everybody has enjoyed seeing Maul throughout all iterations of him, be that The Phantom Menace, be that Clone Wars, whatever. But this time is different. This Maul feels exactly where we want him to be. He's tapped into that Ronin side. He's really making his own path. We're seeing the underground for the first time. It's compelling. It's thrilling. It's enthralling. God, I just want to dive headfirst into that screen and really tap into what it means to be a Sith. What it means to be not even really a Sith, I guess, but like an ex-Sith in this underworld of darkness. God, it just makes me want to do that. And that training scene, we've never really seen something like this before. So sure, we've seen the Jedi do the training and the honing, and you kind of get that whole, oh, yep, they're definitely at one with themselves. You know, the blade is a part of their body. But we've never seen it like this. And you know you've got this incredible character when Maul can just be there for about 30 seconds training. All he's doing is he's feeling the blade. And I loved it. I loved every single second of it. Honestly, every single bit of this show has been unbelievably incredible, but nothing compares to that training scene. God, watching him just... And you get that angry lightsaber, but that anger is calmed. And I just... You know what? I mean, I talked about Kung Fu Panda last episode, but there's something so zen about Maul, which is so different to what he was before. Someone who's so out of touch. I feel like this underworld is perfect for where he needs to be and where he wants to be. Someone who is in charge, but not in the limelight, you know? But let's talk about the fighting, because the fighting has been, honestly, in this show, I mean, I guess this season, because we know we're going to get a second season, this has been the most incredible part. We've explored so many different types of themes and experiments of like use of lighting and all these different color rules, everything. But the most important part is the practicality of the fights. There's so much more of a focus on the external environment. Now, I'm talking about the environment like physically, but also the commanding of the space and the use of the space. Every single fight has had something to do with the environment that surrounds them. It feels real. It feels like they've ripped out a fight from, removed the laser aspect of it and just swords, just two dudes in a confined space, or even, 2 or 3 warriors in a confined space against each other. What's going to happen? How are you going to use the environment to your advantage? And it's gorgeous. It's incredible. I love it. It's been so important to me to be able to show other people this is what Star Wars is meant to be like. You know, I was playing Battlefront 2 and I could see the similarities. You know, I know obviously that we've got Sam Witwer who played a lot of Battlefront 2 and you get to see the fluidity of the movements, but a lot of this reminded me of that. You know, like pulling things off the wall and throwing it at people feels like a special move. You've got the fluidity of all of his movements, the scarcity of his, you know, like of his call to action. He's very slow to make a decision. He's defending himself a lot more than he is attacking other people, but he uses them against themselves. It's just, it's beautiful. And I think it's just on top of all of that, you've got these different layers of the fights. You've got layers of practicality, you've got then use of the environment, and then on top of that, which I think ties everything together, is the lightsabers. I know I've talked about the lightsabers a lot, but it was so poignant when you see at the end of episode 6, when Marok, Maul, and Devon are both fighting. Devon is having to decide, well, I'm going to have to fight with Maul. This is going to be crazy. Oh my God, like that fight. That fight was incredible. I love seeing all this one, but it was a blur of red and blue, and that was the point. The point is that you're really blurred between the lines of where is this going to go, but you need to still differentiate between the characters. And what I love that they did, that extra little layer that they put in, was the sound of the lightsabers. You could tell the difference between the emotions of the person that was using the lightsaber to who had it. So Marok was angry. God, it was just like, it was this gnarling dog, you know, you'd be like, yeah, just this, it was, you could just feel the lightsaber snapping at them, sort of like and then you have Maul, and he's just calm and precise, but swift and angry. Just like, well, not even really that angry, but he's got an extra edge to him. You know what I mean? He's just got he's like the, God, it's just like, it made me want to just become that werewolf, man. Just rip off everything and just jump into the scene. God, I wanted to be a part of it. It really reminded me of something like Logan, you know, Wolverine at the end when he's just like, you know, like, oh God. And then watching the calmness of Devon really kind of dancing in between the two. It's a fight between Maul and Marok, of course, but then you see Devon, and Devon is just like, well, how can I add into this to make sure that I can survive? I know that Maul is not necessarily the biggest evil. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, and I'm going to have to dance between the two. And she did it beautifully, but her lightsaber really reflected that. The lightsaber who's just like, just this extra little element of this beautiful fighting style of the Jedi, which I'm so glad that they've brought in. And, you know, I mean, like, as much as people might say, well, you know, they're bringing in so many Jedi from all over the Order 66, what's even the point of it? Well, the point is, honestly, that they are the best fighting force out of the whole galaxy, and we love to see them, because we love to see good. In everything that we do, we want to see good. And I love it. I love it. Look, to finish off with the fighting, I just want to say how peak all of these fights have been, and how much they're just ramping up, because we're not finalizing any fight here. Every single fight that we've had has been cut off for whatever reason. All of them ramping up. I probably get to, like, say a 40, what feels like a 40%, and then it drops off. God, it makes me excited for the next bits, because at the end, we'll get, you know what? We'll get into the special mentions. So the special mentions that I really want to talk about here is characters have soul. Characters, all of them have soul. Every single character in this show so far has got a feeling of individuality towards them. I know I've mentioned that in the previous episodes, but it is so impactful now, today. what we saw in these previous episodes, like 5 and 6, have just been unbelievably important because all these characters are surviving on their own. They're all interesting in their own way. I don't feel like anyone is piggybacking on the other. I was really worried that everyone was going to be piggybacking on Maul, but Maul needs to be that individual. But then we also have to have, it's an underworld. We have to have multiple individuals because the thing is, the whole point of the underworld is that it's like a big tribe, and everyone in the tribe has to work together to make sure that they can stay under the radar of the Empire whilst also kind of doing some shady stuff. I just love it. I'm loving all the characters. I really can't wait to explore more about this captain. For some reason, he's really captivating me. It's something about him. You know, I mean, obviously, I want the Jedi Master to die. Ducky or Ducky or whatever his name is. I want him to die. I want him to die so badly. I want Devon to stay strong. I want Devon to kind of grow. But then also, maybe Devon might have to die towards the end because we don't see Devon with Maul in Rebels. So I wonder. But what are the lessons that Devon is going to learn in order to... Sorry, is Maul going to learn with Devon in order to apply that later on with someone that I think we all know is going to be very impactful later on in the Star Wars ecosphere with Ahsoka Season 2 coming out. Yeah, I really do. Like, I can't see the connection like he's had with Ezra, with Devon, but... You know, I'm curious because obviously this is a work in progress. You know, every painting is a combination of multiple paint strokes, and we're just seeing these paint strokes go out, and it's just layering and layering until it becomes this beautiful masterpiece that honestly, I think it will be. I really hope this show just goes on forever. I wish this was a once a week thing, and every single week we got more Maul. I could sit in this show forever. One thing I do want to talk about that character that at the end with the little hologram to the side. He said, "My lord, Vader." It's Vader. I told you he's coming back. I said that last episode. I'm gonna say it again. It's Vader. I'm so excited to see Vader. Like, it's just, I don't want him to take away from Maul, but I'm really, really keen. If we get a fight between Maul and Vader, and that's the reason why he loses his lightsaber, and that's the reason why he kind of goes into hiding and he loses all of the underworld, because we know that the Mandalorians are going to, like, they're already kind of losing their hope. They're going, well, the credits aren't really coming in, so what are we going to do? Sorry, but yeah, I guess you're going to have to lose everything, Maul. And we know that Maul doesn't have everything by that point, so it's really, really interesting. I also kind of want to finish on one little thing before I get into reviews, is that Star Wars feels stronger than ever. It feels like it's back to its peak, back to the prequels era. We've gone through different waves of different styles of Star Wars, and it's now getting to a point where I think they understand that all we want is some fleshed out story of characters that we love and new characters that we have the potential to love. I hope they continue along this path. I really hope that we get to see more and just really, really appreciate this newer level of Star Wars, as well as I can't wait for Mandalorian and Grogu. Like, come on, you know what I mean? And just to finish off with a little bit of reviews, I've got some up for this one. Look, I got a couple of verdicts here. This one I'm going to pull out. I think this one was the one that resonated most with me. This is for episode 5. So this is from IGN. IGN says, after an already solid start in the first 4 episodes, Maul Shadow Lord improves in episode 5 and 6 thanks to the addition of the Empire. No longer is the series simply tracing Maul's return to power in the underworld, but telling a desperate story of survival that places equal importance on the rest of the show's ensemble cast. There's a newfound urgency and desperation in the narrative that serves the series well. It doesn't hurt that Shadow Lord is so visually and orally stunning to boot. I think that's a perfect depiction of not just episode 5, but also episode 6. But I think it more so encapsulates the beauty of episode 5, which was just kind of like a visual spectacle ready for episode 6. I'm really appreciating this double drop. I don't want it to be just like one big episode. They could have done 5 episodes and make it, you know, a whole big thing, because we all know we're going to be watching it back to back anyway. But I enjoy it. I enjoy it. It sets the pacing perfectly. And then we've also got for episode 6 here. Star Wars. This is from IMDb. Star Wars Maul Shadow Lord ends its 6th episode, Night of the Hunted, with a big mystery. Marok, the Inquisitor sent out by the Empire to hunt down Maul on the planet Janix, is foiled by Maul and are unable to bring him in like he's expected to. This is a pretty big failure for the Inquisitor, honoured with the title of the First Brother, so it must be humbling for him to have to return to his home operating base and ask for assistance. But go back to the base he does. Then there calls the hologram for help. Look, I think honestly, like, although being somewhat of a kind of display, because no one's really talking about episode 6 too much, I kind of wanted to do like a little bit of a display from IMDb. Mainly because I think it really makes it so important for where Marok is going to be in the story and kind of where he lands. Look, is it going to be something big? I don't know. Is it going to be important to the later story? I hope so. But the main thing is that we're going to see something that is exciting, it's interesting, and it's a villain that we've all been waiting to come back and actually do something, because he was, I mean, visually one of the coolest guys ever. He looks like he's been ripped out of an Elden Ring game. Elden Ring series. Anyways, guys, I just want to finish off there. Thank you so much for watching. Guys, thank you so much for all the love that you've given me on the previous episode. Like, that was crazy. 100, well, let's see here. 124 views and 6 comments. That's crazy. That's crazy. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for all the help. And all the love. You've just been incredible. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Let me know if there is something that you would like to talk about. Chuck it in the comment section down below, or even just like send me a DM on Instagram. I'm always open. I'm always open to talk to you guys. I love talking to all of you. And yeah, let me know if there's something that you want to see, and I will get back to you guys then. Remember, my live show every week, the start of the week. This week was like a little bit quiet, so we couldn't do it, both of us working a little bit too much, but keep an eye out on our Instagrams. You'll see it there. Mando Mating with CT Jesse the GOAT. He had a really fun reaction video for episodes 5 and 6, which you should definitely check out. This guy is a Star Wars fan through and through, and he makes the best content ever. Love that guy with all my heart. He's the best. Guys, remember, may the Force be with you always, and this is the way. Whoopsh.